The respiratory system is divided into two areas, the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. Nose is a special organ responsible for the sense of smells and serves as passageway for air into and out the lung that is composed of bone, cartilage, and lined by mucous membrane. Nasal cavity consists of highly vascular and prone to bleeding when subject to infection or allergic reaction. It consists of three layers which are nasal septum, superior portions, and paranasal sinus. Pharynx is a chamber shaped by the digestive and the respiratory system. It extends from internal nares and esophagus. Then it is divided into three parts which are nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. Next is larynx. Larynx is the last part of the upper respiratory system that serves as passageway for air between the pharynx and trachea. It has a rigid framework provided by cartilage that is connected by muscles and ligaments.
Trachea is a windpipe that is flexible, has a cylindrical tube approximately 2.5 cm in diameter and 12.5 cm in length. It extends from the lower end of the larynx and down into the thoracic cavity. Bronchi contain progressively less cartilage and are dominated by smooth muscle. Then, bronchi was divided into two parts which are right bronchus and left bronchus. Lung is the major organ of the respiratory system that has a soft, spongy and cone-shaped organ. Lungs are divided into lobes. The right lung has 3 lobes and is slightly larger than the left lung, which has 2 lobes. Lungs lie in the thoracic cavity that are separated by the mediastinum. The lungs are covered by a protective membrane known as the pleura and are separated from the abdominal cavity by the muscular diaphragm. Alveoli is a tiny air sac of the lungs that is made up of squamous epithelium and surrounded by blood capillaries. There are 3 types of cells in alveoli, which are type 1 alveolar cell, type 2 alveolar cells, which are septal cells, and alveolar dust cells. Type 1 alveolar cell is a simple squamous cell where gas exchange occurs. Then, type 2 alveolar cells are free surfaces that have microvilli to secrete the alveolar fluid containing surfactant, while the alveolar dust cells are for wandering macrophages to remove debris.
External respiration is divided into 3 processes which are pulmonary ventilation, pulmonary diffusion, and transport of blood gases. Pulmonary ventilation is commonly referred as breathing, process of air flowing into the lungs during inspiration and out of the lungs during expiration, caused by the pressure difference between the atmosphere and the gases inside the lungs, which are atmospheric pressure and intrapulmonary pressure. Inspiration is the process of taking air out of lungs at the phase of ventilation because elevation of rib cage involves muscle contraction, which are diaphragm and external intercostal muscle, causing the thoracic cavity volume increase. Intrapulmonary pressure decrease. High atmospheric pressure causes the airflow into the lungs. Expiration is the process of letting air out of the lungs. The rib cage returns to its original position. Diaphragm and intercostal muscle are relaxed, decreasing of thoracic cavity volume, causing higher intrapulmonary pressure than atmospheric pressure. Air pushed out of the lungs into the atmosphere. Pulmonary diffusion is spontaneous movement of gases without energy usage between the alveoli and the capillaries in the lungs by causing the respiratory membrane. Respiratory membrane consists of the following layer of pulmonary surfactant and fluid lining of alveolus, alveolar epithelial cell, basement membrane of the epithelial cell, and capillary endothelial cell. Transport of blood gases is actual gases exchange, which are oxygen and carbon dioxide by simple diffusion without energy usage that follow pressure gradient. Anatomy of lung that maximize the gases diffusion is respiratory membrane is highly permeable to gases. Respiratory and blood capillaries are very thin and large surface area throughout the lung.
Internal respiration is exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide with the internal environment that occur in the tissue by following the partial pressure gradient to allow the diffusion between the plasma membrane. Partial pressure in tissue, which is 40 mmHg, is lower than partial pressure in the blood, which is 100 mmHg. Creating partial pressure gradient to allow oxygen to dissociate from hemoglobin, blood, interstitial space, and then to the tissue. For transport of oxygen, oxygen bind to hemoglobin, produce oxyhemoglobin, which is the bright red color molecule, and it is easily reversible reaction.
Next, transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide transport in blood in three forms. First, 7% of carbon dioxide dissolved in blood plasma. Second, 23% of carbon dioxide transport in blood as carbamino compound. Last, 70% of carbon dioxide transport in blood plasma as bicarbonate ion.
Respiration is the process by which living organisms exchange gases with the environment, typically the intake of oxygen for metabolic needs and the release of carbon dioxide formed by tissues. In humans, respiration includes two main processes, which are external respiration and internal respiration. For external respiration refers to the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide between the environment and the lungs. This process primarily takes place in the lungs and involves the inhalation of oxygen from the air and the exhalation of carbon dioxide produced by cellular metabolism. The main components of external respiration include breathing, pulmonary ventilation, pulmonary diffusion, and transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. For internal respiration refers to the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide that occurs at the cellular level within tissues and organs of the body. Unlike external respiration, which involves the exchange of gases between the environment and the lungs, internal respiration involves the exchange of gases between the bloodstream and body tissues. This process is essential for providing oxygen to cells and removing carbon dioxide. The exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between systemic capillaries and tissue cells is called internal respiration or systemic gas exchange. Gases exchange is a process of simple diffusion due to a partial pressure gradient.